Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And what a beautiful, beautiful day in Chautauqua County. Sun is beaming down, the world is spinning, and everything is perfect. Flowers all over the place. And we're gonna see some more flowers. We have a great program coming on just art photography, and we have Gretchen Gaede, who has a gallery at Chautauqua, and she brought in some of her paintings to show us. They look like paintings, but they're photography. And she's going to give you a few tips on how to take photos and how to pose your materials, compose your materials, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And remember, anybody who wants to can call in about anything they want. The number is 753-JACK, like jack your phone in. That's better known as 753-5225, and it's on the screen for you. Anybody calls in gets a warm welcome, so give us a call. We have lots of news cranking, nothing much in Washington, but they did, I guess, pass a very watery bill for the kids who are trying to fight their way through college financially, and it's very expensive, and more and more funding is being cut, and it's becoming very difficult for the poor and middle class to go to college. The rich have no problem, but it looks like there's going to be another financial division in this country, which is those that can go to college and those that can't afford to go to college. We have all kinds of other things cranking around in Congress, but they don't get passed. There's so much division between the Republicans and Democrats that it's virtually impossible to do any work. They're moribund. So I hope we call Tom Reed and tell him to get cranking here, help us out a little bit, especially in terms of senior funding. They're cutting the senior Medicaid, they're cutting the senior Medicare, they're cutting the funding for, they're hopefully not cutting it too much, but it looks like they're going to cut back on the Social Security again, and remembering that most seniors are going to be eating this stuff. It's cat food before you know it, because of the fact that Congress has not given us a fair COLA. They've cheated on the COLA so that at this point, after 10 years, just 10 years ago, you were getting $1, you're now getting 47 cents. Yeah, that's what you're getting out of your Social Security, is about half of the purchasing power now. Tom Reed, please take note. Now we have, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't get into it. New York State is in a peculiar situation financially. I have a feeling that we're borrowing a lot of money, but at this point the books are not open. And of course I know the governor slipped through that SAFE Act, which has everybody incensed who has a gun, because it basically cranked down on our First Amendment rights to bear firearms. You can't even buy ammunition without a background check. You pay for it too in New York State. This is insane. A lot of guns have been said disqualified. You got to sell them or throw them away, which is just utter absurdity. And everybody upstate and in other areas too are putting out signs now, repeal the SAFE Act. And I thank you, Kathy Young, and I thank you, Andy Goodell. They voted against it to start. It was passed in the middle of the night, you know. They voted on it in the early morning, but no public input, which was illegal, unconstitutional in New York State. No committee approval, nothing. They just whipped it through. Cuomo set it up and said, do this, and he had enough control over the downstaters so that they passed it. Repeal the SAFE Act. Okay, locally in Chautauqua County, things are breezing along nicely. We have so many farmers markets. It's just wonderful. You can go get the fresh produce right out of the field, right out of the tree, out of the bush, whatever it is. Corn coming up now. The fresh corn is beginning to blow in. They tell me it's coming from southern Pennsylvania, but there's a bit of it up here too, fresh sweet corn. And boy, that is, eat all the sweet corn you can stuff down your mug in the summer, because after that you're not going to get good, fresh sweet corn. And boy, there's nothing like it. Go out, my grandfather used to say, start a pot of water boiling, go out to the field where the farmer raises his corn, pick some, run home, shucking it quickly and toss it in the water. Boiling water. It'll be fresh. And don't cook it over 2 minutes. You don't cook fresh corn. You just heat it up good. You destroy all the happiness of it. And it's so fresh and tasty with butter. Oh, salt and butter. Okay, enough said. I'm going to take a brief break here. We've got John Hamels calling in shortly. He is away right now, but he will return. I want to have a PSA. This is a public service announcement, and this is just for you.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. If you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
I love these one per hour dies of it. You don't really know, but it's like another statistic I got this morning when I was watching the tube. We pay more for water in Chautauqua County than they do in the desert of Arizona, and we're right on Lake Erie. I can't figure that out. Well, we are the highest taxed county in, not New York, not upstate New York, in the entire United States, Chautauqua County, according to a number of pundits who look at this. So smile while you're paying your taxes, which keep going up, I might add. Okay, they tell us, oh, there are no new taxes, but oh, the fees. Oh yeah, the fees have gone up. You want to register a car? Well, I'm sorry, that's doubled. That's the way it goes. You know, want to go to the park? Oh, we had to double those fees. They tell me they ain't taxes. Enough said. Is John Hamels alive and well? Well, yeah, he seems to be sleeping in late today, I guess. Well, I think we're going to move on, and we'll take a break when John comes on. We have with us a terrific photographer, well known around the area, especially in Chautauqua and Cleveland, where she lives in the winter. Gretchen Gaede, and she is bringing some of her stuff just to show you and give you some examples and a little bit of background. Speaking of background, what's your background? Where were you born and raised?
Born and raised in Cleveland and spent every summer of my life in Chautauqua.
Every summer?
Every summer. I'm a fourth generation. We have fifth generation in the family now.
Oh, boy.
My great-grandfather, Henry Turner Bailey, in fact, designed the Arts Quad there. Mm-hmm. My grandmother, Helen Bailey, had a shop in the Colonnade building where I currently have my gallery, Gretchen's Gallery, and it was in 1916, so it's almost 100 years later.
Well, you're the niece of probably one of the greatest supporters of Chautauqua of all time, Jack Bailey.
Absolutely.
And Kate Bailey. And Kate Bailey has, well, Jack has been there. I think he's in his mid-80s now, and he said he missed 1 year out of his entire life.
I believe that.
And they're wonderful folks. They live right down by the water there, and he paddles around every day and gets his exercise and so forth. Okay, back to what, did you go to school for this? Do you learn? Do you have to go get some college for it, or what do you do?
Yes, actually, I went to school at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and I had a degree in advertising graphics as well as surface design, which is now called textile design. And what that is the design of pattern for fabric, wall covering, sheets and bedding, giftware, anything like that. And after 20 years in the business designing for all of the major manufacturers, Schumacher and Seabrook and Springs Mills, and
everybody knows that.
Could go on and on. I switched over, made the transition over to photography as a natural extension of what I was doing without actually taking any photography courses or having a background in technical photography.
Mm-hmm. And you have a gallery over there, don't you?
I do. Yes, in Chautauqua, in the Colonnade building. And we've been there 3 years, we being my business partner, Ruth Ann Rains, who is also from Westfield. You may recognize the name. And she's been instrumental in helping me get the gallery up and running, and we've increased every year. We began with my own work and now carry the work of about 30 other artists in all different media, and work of artists that you can't find anywhere else. Our goal is to be the place to go to find a unique product at a wide range of price points and not have it be something you see coming and going. It's got to be unique and different and special.
And it's probably located in the area.
Most of our artists are from the area, but there's of course a lot of artists from Cleveland, since I have that connection.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, tell me, how long have you been doing this?
Well, the gallery is I've been in the photography, 3 years for the gallery now in the Colonnade, but worked my way up through doing the markets and the farmers markets and that kind of thing, probably for the last 8 or 9 years. And then 20 years prior to that, I'm dating myself now, with the design and the that industry.
Maybe we could show one of the you put this on a special kind of canvas, don't you, or something?
Yeah, I like to work on canvas. This is a signature piece that I call it a signature piece because it is called Rainbow Pots, and it is bright and colorful and cheerful, makes people happy to look at. Again, it's taking my background as a fabric designer, which is concerned with pattern, color, and texture, and then translating that to a photograph that makes people smile and happy and looks good in any room. And that actual picture, when I took it, I like to say I took it in Provence. It looks like a French picture. I actually took it in Buffalo. But
a fur cry.
I won a national competition for a calendar, and that was called The Colors of Life. And it came out in 2009. And it featured my work with rainbow pots on the front, and then a wide variety of colorful imagery of my images that are all kind of fabric related. They have to do with pattern, color, texture. And that was available at all the major bookstores. Target carried it. And so that was my launching into the field of photography via fabric design.
Well, and it's been very successful, evidently,
yes.
Especially if you're actually in one of the big department stores.
Yes.
Which is the way to go, I guess.
Yeah, doesn't hurt.
Okay, we got a guy named John Hamels who finally woke up, got out of bed, I guess. And so let's listen to him here. Hello, Doc, are you there?
Good morning, Reed.
Good morning.
Awake. I've been up since 6 o'clock.
So what's the matter? You forget the phone number?
Reed, this is part 3 of my series.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Now, first of all, give a brief background of the part 1, 2, so people know.
All right, here we go. The story starts out with a little boy named Jack in Buffalo and his brother Eddie, who learns about the All-American Soapbox Derby in 1934. He competes in the Buffalo race and is a champion. He goes to Dayton, Ohio, and competes and crashes, and he's in the finals, but his car is crashed and he can't race anymore. The third part of the story is that I am standing as we speak in front of Derby Down in Akron, Ohio, where Jack just finished in a celebrity race and won the race, I might add, 79 years after the first time he raced at the All-American Soapbox Derby.
How old is he now?
He's 90, and he's my dad.
Your father?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no wonder you're talking about Jack.
And Eddie was his brother and my uncle, who was his pit crew. So I had to be the pit crew today. But they've honored him as a returning participant for the All-American. He's now an official alumni of the Soapbox Derby, and they couldn't have afforded him better honors and everything here. He was the Grand Marshal of the parade, and it's just been a great day so far.
Well, no wonder you're not here today.
Well, that's right. Now, Chris has some pictures, I think.
Okay.
If you want to take a quick picture.
Yeah, okay. We got this the Soapbox Derby 1934 book up there.
Yeah, do you see a picture of a young boy?
Yes, I do.
That's
And I
my
see an
dad.
old man now.
That was a picture of my dad when he won the Soapbox Derby in Buffalo, and then he went on to Dayton. Now, most people think that the Soapbox Derby started in Akron, but it actually started in Dayton, and then the following year came to Akron. Just if you want to move that, and then you see like a white cloth hat there.
Yes, I see it.
That's the helmet that they used in those days.
Just a cloth helmet, huh?
Nowadays they have these plastic or whatever fiberglass helmets.
Motorcycle helmets.
Yeah, there's another picture I think coming up. Tell me what you see.
Well, we're back to the Soapbox Derby book, but I think we've seen most of them, and I appreciate you sending them.
All right. Well, I just want to say hi to everybody, and I plan to be back next week, Reed. And how's the show going so far?
The show is terrific. We've got a fabulous photographer here who's showing us some of this unbelievably brilliant photos she's taken.
Oh, geez, and here I'm sitting. I set my little works of art.
Well, Gretchen Gaede is her name, and she has a gallery over in Chautauqua. And
wonderful.
She's hung a lot of these there and a lot of others. She covers a hell of a lot of our artists in the area. And it's in the Wood Building now?
In the Colonnade.
Right in the Colonnade. You can't miss it then.
Can't miss it.
Wonderful. Well, Reed, I'm going to sign off now, but I just want everybody to know the rest of the story.
Okay.
And 79 years later, Dad came back and finally won.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And next week we won't hear anything about the Soapbox Derby anymore, right?
We'll do something else. I'll come up with something ornery.
Okay. Thanks a lot, John Hamill.
Bye-bye.
Fondly known as Doc. Okay, we're with Gretchen Gaede, who is a photographer of note over at Chautauqua, has her own gallery, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the photography. Now, we saw some of those glorious pictures. Now, they're on a sort of a canvas sort of stuff. What is that?
Yes, I prefer to work on canvas. If you want to show maybe some of the other ones here that we've got, it gives it a vibrancy and a dimension. A lot of times people look at it and they feel like it's three-dimensional or high definition, or as though you're standing directly in front of it. I think particularly if you can show the garden shot here, Enchanted Garden, that really gives you the feeling that you're directly in front of that image. And that is actually me driving down a dirt road somewhere up here at Chautauqua, one of those little winding roads that you don't know where you're going, and literally driving into that. And what you see is exactly what I saw. I don't enhance any of my photography. I don't do any Photoshop. I prefer to have the pure image and have the viewers share with me that moment.
What's Photoshop? What do you mean?
Photoshop is a common way to enhance your photos. You can add images, subtract pieces of images, change the colors. My photos, which is how I prefer to do it, is just give them dead on as they were. And the canvas just gives it that life. I like to have them have that vibrancy and that life. And if you look over, if we want to skim over to the turtles if we can, now that's a print, that is not a canvas. But what that shows is, again, the dimension. I shot that in the Cayman Islands, just shooting down into the water, and I was intrigued by the pattern on the backs of the turtles, how each one is different. And from my fabric background, I would take that then and possibly make it into a design for scarves or something of that nature. But as a photo, it stands alone. It gives you the impression that you're looking at an oil painting when in fact it's just a straight photo. And most of these photos that you're seeing today were shot with a old 35mm manual Ricoh camera. I have since had to make the move begrudgingly over to digital, but I think that the film just really gives the feeling of being there and gives it that extra dimension.
So you would suggest that the actual film is better than the digital?
I will get in a lot of trouble for saying that, but I personally prefer the film over the digital. Although it's archaic, it's the way of the past, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, you have to be able to load it up now easily.
Exactly, get it developed.
Yeah. Well, Gretchen, I think that you certainly have a handle on this. Well, how do you pick a subject? You just go out and start shooting things, or what?
Honestly, I'm inspired by everything. Nature inspires me. I go out, and lighting is just essential. Lighting is like the most essential component of the photograph. You have to wait and be patient, and that's where the film comes in again, where in the old days with the film you would wait, and you'd wait for the light to be just right before you would take your image. And nowadays you can pretty much shoot in digital and then recreate it with a light. Now this is a picture I took in Chautauqua a couple years back, and it was walking out far enough on an old dock to be able to get directly in front of that bell tower with that beautiful reflection, and the water was so crystal clear that even if you hung this picture upside down, you almost wouldn't know if you were hanging it right side or upside down, because it's such a perfect reflection. And I called it clarity because you can really almost feel the crispness of the air when you look at it. And that was actually chosen to be the Christmas card for Chautauqua this past year by Tom Becker, so that was a fun honor.
Yeah, you know, that is so clear. I can see the turtles.
Yeah, are there turtles? Oh, the big turtle, yes, he is there.
They're the Miller Bell Tower. And I'll tell you something, Chautauqua has a lot to offer for people, especially the art. They have art instructions, music, opera. My son is doing something for the opera crowd this weekend. And
excellent.
They have I don't know, they just have all kinds of wonderful things at Chautauqua. You know, I have 15 ways you can get into Chautauqua for free if you're a local person. Because they say, oh, it's so expensive and so expensive, and Chautauqua says, oh, we're going bankrupt. But I still have 15 ways to get in free.
It'd be a good book.
Well, actually,
well.
If you dress up in blue jeans and a straw hat, they let you in the market immediately without any questions.
I never thought of that.
And if you know anybody there, you just go in to say hi to them. They let you in for that. And if you have any official business, incidentally, you want to use the library, you go in free. Because the library is state operated and state funds.
Yeah.
And the same with the post office. You want to go in and mail something there. There are lots of ways that you can go in without paying for it,
yes.
and have a lot of fun while you're there.
Yes, it's alive with the arts, Chautauqua. Everywhere you look, there's music coming from everywhere. There's that inspiration in the air. I liken it to Italy. I love photographing in Italy. I love photographing in Chautauqua, and I think if you do Italy and Chautauqua, how can you go wrong?
And you probably couldn't tell the difference either.
Yeah, the lighting is very similar, actually.
Well, the only thing I know about lighting is that they used to always tell me, my parents say, have the sun behind you, Reed. Have the sun behind you.
Absolutely, yes. And speaking of lighting, I guess that's a good transition into the lampshades that we do.
Yeah, those are beautiful shades. Are they made with human skin?
No. No, not to worry about that. They're not human skin, but they are my images. The iconic imagery of Chautauqua. This particular shade is, I also have Westfield, I have Lake Erie lighthouses, and of course I have Italy.
You can turn it around, can't you? So we can get some other shots?
We have the bell tower.
Yeah.
We've got the little iconic Victorian cottage up there.
What do you mean by iconic?
Well, that's the little gingerbread house. The little one that, when you think of Chautauqua, you think of those old-fashioned little gingerbread houses. Okay. And that's one that people know well. Of course, you must have the Hall of Philosophy. Everybody loves the Hall of Philosophy.
Okay.
Norton Hall for the opera. And then finally we have the Athenaeum.
Yeah.
And we have a larger shade as well. This is the small shade. And then, as I say, we have some different themes going. But that's a different way to show,
Okay.
to use photography in a home. People say, my walls are covered already. Where can I put art? Well, how about a lampshade?
Well, now, people always, Gretchen, are interested in bucks, dollars. Roughly, what would that cost somebody?
Well, this particular
just the
shade,
You're not going to sell the lamp, just the shade.
Just the shade is going to be $85, and that's
85.
because one thing we pride ourselves on, it's all handmade in the United States. All of our work is handmade in the United States. It's done in a painstaking process where when it comes out on the canvas, a woman actually sits and cuts the top of this and the bottom into 1/8 inch strips and just rolls and glues.
Huh.
It's archival ink. The sun will not fade it. And it's just something that's a really unique, handmade American piece of art, and just happens to feature my photography.
Right, and could you change the photos if you felt like it? Or,
It's all printed on one long piece of canvas.
That's
so,
what you
yeah,
get.
that's what you would get. You'd pick your theme. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a rare bargain, really, if you want a great lampshade, an art lampshade. Those
Exactly.
are great photos.
Yes.
Well, Gretchen, the gallery's running along strong. How are you doing financially with it? You know, so many galleries, just they're hobbies more than anything.
Well, we had our most successful week this past week ever. And I think now we've been there 3 years. People recognize that we're there. People recognize that we're always going to have new, unique pieces and new, unique artists to represent. And I think another good thing that we do is we offer a wide range of pricing. We want somebody to come in and take something home with them that's very special to them, whether they have $5 or whether they have $1,000. We don't want to be the big gallery that only has the $5,000 and $10,000 and $20,000 pieces. There's a place for that, but that's not what our gallery is. And so we have happy customers, from little children coming in and wanting to take home a little ornament of Chautauqua that's been handmade by someone, to a serious collector that's looking for a large, significant piece.
Okay, that was your infomercial for the day.
Okay, I'm done.
Galleries all over the place, and I lived in New York a long time, and they'd come up and go down just like mushrooms. They pop right up, and then the next thing they're gone in the next hot day, they disappear.
That does happen.
And because I found that galleries are sort of like vineyards and things where they make their own wine. They're hobby. But yours apparently is surviving.
This is a serious business. Yes,
You're
yes.
surviving.
Yeah, we're thriving.
Yeah, and now when you do one of these, you send them away, right? Have them professionally done?
Yes, we've worked with a company now for a while that we know that the quality is going to be exactly what we want, that the colors are going to be absolutely perfect to what they were when I took the image. It's a very high quality canvas that they get from Paris, and they're stretched very professionally. We do the edges black most of the time, so that it sets it off from the wall, gives the illusion of having a frame, but you're not required to frame it. That's the joy of it. And a lot of cottages at Chautauqua, that's a lovely way to present it.
Okay, now again, the prices, would you...
Well, it's all by size.
Roughly give us, well, just say that one. Now, give us a
This
rough...
one is a 16 by 20 print, which is one of our best-selling sizes, and that would be $165.
$165. That's reasonable.
It really is.
Nice piece. It's framed and everything.
Yes.
Well, semi-framed.
Semi-framed, yeah.
I did that a lot of time. I used to paint a little bit, and I like the black tape around the outside.
Yes.
Terrific. Saves a lot of hassle, too.
Yeah.
Okay, Gretchen Gaede, a photographer at Chautauqua. When you're using a camera, you say, what kind of a camera do you use?
I had used Ricoh, an old-fashioned manual Ricoh 35mm camera forever, and I really liked that camera. I'm not a technically trained photographer, so I don't have the 10,000 lenses and that sort of thing, but I just know how to create a picture. I know about composition and lighting and color and texture from my background as a fabric designer.
What kind do you use now, camera?
I now have a digital Fuji 7000 that I use in conjunction with the Ricoh when I can.
And if somebody wanted to get into this and buy a Fuji 7000, what would it cost them? $7,000?
Oh, no. That's an extremely reasonable camera. Extremely. For me, it's more about a lot of people say to me, can you teach me to use a camera? And my answer to that generally is, I'd rather teach you to use your eyes, because you can have all the knowledge in the world about how to technically use a camera, but you have to be able to have the eye to recognize the composition in front of you. And the compositions are everywhere. Inspiration is everywhere. And you just have to have that, wait for that moment, focus it correctly so that you zoom in or you zoom out or whatever you need to do, and get the lighting right and compose it, and just take it, and not take necessarily 100 different pictures to try to get to the one that you then want. And you can do it if you just have the patience and the eye, which is a bit of a training that you need to learn.
Okay. Engineer, I can see the red blinker is going. You got somebody trying to call in. Tell me another secret that you have. You keep talking about composition. Now, what is composition, and what's a good one versus a bad one? We'll put it that way.
Well, if we look back at the turtles again, that's an example, perhaps. I'm getting your cameraman running all over the place.
Randy is doing a fabulous job, isn't he? He's a winner, this guy.
That works because if you see the entire image, it's zoomed in. It's not taking the entire big image that was there with all the 30 different turtles that might have been there, but it's finding a pleasing composition to it. There's movement to it. There is as much negative space as positive space. There's a texture of the sand behind the turtles that is as interesting as the texture on the turtles. And I'm shooting down into the water, so you do have to wait for the right moment. These turtles are moving, and then just realize it when you have it. And that takes a lot of training, and it takes an eye. But then that creates something that visually to the viewer is quite appealing. And they might not be able to understand why it is, but that's a lot of it.
Are they wild turtles?
Those were the big Galapagos turtles that they had in the Caymans. Oh. They don't look that big in the image, but they were large, yes.
They're captive in some sort of a...
They were in a turtle farm, yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, gee, you know, the Galapagos turtles lived to be hundreds of years old, they tell me.
Yes.
Some of them were here when they discovered America.
That's amazing.
We pay more for water up here than they do in Arizona desert. Can you believe that?
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're right on Lake Erie, one of the biggest reservoirs of fresh water in the United States, in the world for that matter.
Yeah.
I think they have most of the fresh water in the world, the 5 Great Lakes.
Yes, I had heard that.
Okay, guys, we're with Gretchen Gaede. Gretchen is telling us a little bit about the art photography she does, and she is over Chautauqua. You can, if they want to come visit you, when would be a good time?
We're open every day, 10 to 5.
Are you there?
I'm there every day, yes.
10 to 5 at your gallery?
Yes,
and
during the season, and then we'll hopefully stay open through the fall as well. There's a lot of festivals and activities going on post-season in Chautauqua as well.
I know. Gretchen Gaede Gallery. It's
Gretchen's Gallery, yeah.
Gretchen's Gallery. Yeah. And it's easy to find. It's right in the, which building?
The Colonnade Building.
The Colonnade Building. I don't want to misrepresent it.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a little bit on composition. Now, they used to tell us when we were doing art, studying art, that composition has to lead your eye into the painting and then keep it there. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll talk about that very briefly, but we have a phone call. You want to take a call?
Sure.
Hey, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
We're doing wonderfully, thank you.
All right. I was listening and I noted or heard Gretchen talk about composition and texture and all that kind of stuff. What is all included in like composition? Depth of field, view,
leading the eye into the painting, things like that.
Yeah. How do I fill a frame up? That kind of thing.
Yeah, what do you say?
A lot of it is leading the eye into the painting. That's I'm saying painting because they look like paintings, but leading the eye into the photograph. Probably the bell tower one is a good example of that, where I like it when it tells a story, when there's a lot of elements or minimal elements, but yet it tells a story. It makes the viewer want to know more, and it makes the viewer share that experience with you. So I guess I'm talking a little bit more esoterically than I am talking about the how exactly it is to go about doing it. The bell tower works because you have the framing over the bell tower of the trees, and when he pans out on this, you can see that the trees sort of frame the bell tower. You have the woman sitting in the bench looking out, so the viewer almost feels like they're sitting there and experiencing that moment that she's sitting, which is probably a wonderful, magical moment at Chautauqua. And it's all about taking it from that angle rather than possibly getting behind the hydrangea bush that's there and missing her altogether and not having the framing of the bell tower. So each composition in its own needs to be set up to the best advantage to convey what you're trying to convey to the viewer.
Okay.
Yeah, I do a little photography myself, and it takes a lot of practice.
Yes.
Is there an easy way to kind of get this composition put together that you're trying to get on film or on camera?
Well, for me, a lot of it is the positive, negative, and that's again something I learned in wallpaper and fabric design. Is that you're looking at the images that you want to show. You want to show the bell tower and the trees and everything, but you're also looking at the sky, the land around. You have to almost view the negative images as equally important as the positive images. And then when you get those two to come together, then you have really a winner, if that makes sense.
So the negative image would be more the open space?
Yes,
and that
the
kind of
open
stuff?
spaces around, yes. They're just as important as the solid spaces that the normal person is just going to view right at.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So do you photograph people?
I've never done that. It's probably a logical way to go down the road, but I have not ever tried to photograph people. If I did, I'd want them in a natural setting and just very natural outdoor lighting, that kind of thing. I'm not a studio photographer.
In their flower garden.
Yeah, in the flower garden would be perfect, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Well,
You're
thank you,
welcome.
caller. I think, why do I keep saying You're not supposed to say we have with us Gretchen Gaede talking a little bit about photography. And if you have any questions, you can call her. If you want to just talk to her directly, go over to her little gallery in the Colonnade building, and it's Gretchen's Gallery. It's easy enough to remember. And she says she's there 24/7 just about.
Yep, I'm living there.
All the time. If you tried to do photography, and he mentioned something you don't do, that's portraiture, people's. That's pretty valuable, isn't it? I mean, I know somebody that makes a living doing just houses over there. They sketch them from a photograph.
Sure, yeah.
And people pay a lot of dough.
Yes, they do, yeah. That's something I've never tried because, again, I'm more in tune to the design aspects of photography rather than the photography aspects of photography, I suppose.
Yeah.
But certainly that's a possibility down the road.
And I know that I know somebody over there who makes a pretty good living in the summer doing dogs. Just dogs. Family dogs are very popular.
They absolutely are, yes. We're very dog friendly at the gallery. We used to have a little sign. We have 2 dog bowls out and we give them water on the hot days.
Oh,
we had a little
nice.
sign that said, puppies bring your people. So, and they did. So love the animals.
Well, Chautauqua has many merits. Now, why did you go so many times when you were younger? I mean, you weren't into photography or art or anything else.
Oh no,
at that
but
time.
it was a wonderful experience to grow up in Chautauqua, and my core of friends that I still have to this day, all these years later, we probably knew from the time we were 3, 4, 5. We have pictures of us at 5 years old, and then now a couple years back we did the same group in the identical photo. You make these lifelong friendships of people that you would otherwise never meet. All of us are from totally different states, different backgrounds, different careers, but yet we all met at Chautauqua and shared the Chautauqua experience. Went to the Boys and Girls Club, and then a lot of the family being at Chautauqua and being the different generations. So it gives you a sense of history, and it gives you just a special connection to people and a place that you just never would otherwise have experienced.
And you have the arts. So
And the arts was always prominent, and we
Sure.
come from a very strong art family, so for me
sure.
that was very special.
Well, Chautauqua's booming right now. It's right in the middle of the season, huh?
Booming, yes,
And
yes.
I see they had some sort of a big deal going on yesterday. At any rate, they always do on Sunday. You go in free. That's another way to get in free. Go Sunday.
Sundays are very busy because people do want to come in and participate and check it out, and that's a good day to do it. And there's a lot of times there are art festivals that are held on Sundays there, and there's always something happening, and it gives you a taste of Chautauqua, and hopefully then makes you want to come back and you get addicted the way I have been and so many others.
Well, besides bats, which incidentally they love over Chautauqua.
They
put out
love
little
their bats.
Bat houses to encourage them because they eat so many mosquitoes.
Yes.
And a lot of them used to live up in the top floor of the, above the big giant organ. What building is
The
that?
Massey in the amphitheater.
Amphitheater,
Yes.
okay. And they just cherish them. They put those bat houses up, though, you know, and the bats don't like them.
Oh,
They
no?
tell me they're not getting any bats in them. I talked to the
Well,
bat master over there.
I don't know who you're talking to, because we had 2 bats in our cottage already this summer, which is unheard of and not pleasant.
But you,
So they're there.
And you didn't have a bat house, though, see?
No, I have a physical bat house, apparently, but yeah.
So what did you do with the bats? Evict them?
They were evicted, yes.
Usually you bat them down. They do carry rabies, but it's very rare, really, to be bitten by a rabid bat, much as they have a terrible reputation for it.
That's true,
They're-
yes.
And they sure clean up on the bugs. You know, they eat their entire weight of bugs every day or something like that. And that, or we mentioned the organ. You know something about that organ in the amphitheater?
It's quite historic, and it's called the Massey organ. There's something that was just published in the Daily about how many actual pipes there are and how big they are, and it's just astounding, all the actual facts about it.
It is still, I believe, the largest outdoor organ
Yeah, I think that's
in the world.
Yeah, I think that is
Because
true.
it's such a huge organ.
Yeah.
And, the sound that comes out of that thing.
Wonderful.
And
Yeah.
it's just worth going over to the amphitheater to listen to it. If you were to go back in time, what would you do with your photography? Would you change anything about it?
If I was to
Say, I want to do something very different. I'm not talking about portraiture or anything, but some people do strange, odd things with photography.
The only thing I might like to do would be to incorporate when I used to design. I painted a lot, and I love the photography. I also love the painting and design, and maybe work on large canvases and go back in and paint sections so that it's now a combination of photo and painting.
So it'd be a
and then
mixture.
best of both worlds, and it would be something that isn't being done, to the best of my knowledge, too often out there.
Okay.
And just give it a little extra texture and color.
We have a caller. You want to talk to the caller?
Sure.
You're on, caller.
Hey, good morning, Reed. Good morning, Gretchen.
Morning.
Looking at your photos, looking at the turtles now, do you use natural light, or do you have like strobe lights or flash?
With those
No.
big umbrellas.
It's just so bright and beautiful.
Yeah, it's just all natural light, and it's just really important to me to wait for the right moment, and I'm watching lighting all the time, and if the lighting is probably the most important aspect of taking the photo. If the lighting is off, you're not going to get what you want. So you really do have to be patient, unless you want to rely on all these other components, which I simply just don't have, and just personally don't have an interest in using.
So light.
Also your flower picture now, is that natural light too?
All natural light. Mm-hmm.
And do you use any filters? Looking on TV, they're pretty bright. They're really nice.
There's nothing enhanced, and it's all exactly what it is in real life.
That looks like a winter picture.
I like the pure
It is.
image.
Is that a
It's
winter
amazing
picture?
because I'm doing digital photography now, and everything seems to have like a fog blur to it. I don't know if it's the camera's getting bad, the lens, but I know you're doing that with film cameras. I just get this, every picture I take, it just seems to be a little foggy. Almost got to enhance it in Photoshop. But
Well, are you trying to shoot with the natural lighting? Are you using all these other aspects?
I'm usually just using natural lighting.
Okay.
But it's just, I have not been real happy with the quality of my photos lately. I don't know if the camera's just getting bad or I've got some setting messed up. But I know how you feel with film because I'm starting to miss it now too.
Yeah. I think there may be a resurgence. There's enough people that are starting to really miss it. It did have its place.
Digital's fake color. To me, it's just a fake. You look at skies and stuff. You can't match it up to a real photograph. But I'm going to let you go.
Well, thank you.
those pictures,
Thank you.
They are beautiful.
Thank you.
Back, I asked you that you had a photograph of the bell tower again, just like the other photo, but this looked like it was in winter.
Yes, I do try to get all the seasons.
Well, it was the same photo too, but it pretty much.
Pretty much from the similar angle, and then try to get all the different seasons. Most people don't get to see the fall at Chautauqua or the winter at Chautauqua, and they're just beautiful. I don't live here in the winter, but I do come up and photograph so that I can show that to the viewer.
Yeah, people in Cleveland, they don't know what winter is.
It's not like it. Not like it is here.
Okay, Gretchen Gaede telling us all about it here. Is there anything you would advise people to do if they were to start out doing this sort of work, doing photography? I don't know nothing from nothing. I'm just starting out. What would I do? Buy a camera. Okay.
Well, yes, you buy a camera.
I got a Brownie.
As good a one as you could get. But you don't need lots and lots of filters and things initially. The idea is to train the eye and to just always be looking around you. And you could find beauty in anything. You don't have to go to Chautauqua or go to Italy. You can find it in your own backyard. Look for patterns, look for texture, look for when the day has the best lighting, when the lighting hits the flower pot at exactly the right way that it just shines from within. And look for those moments. And start shooting from that aspect, and the technical part of it will come along later. But if you develop the eye, that's the most important thing. It's just like a writer that uses a pen. What he writes is only as good as the writer himself. The photographer their picture's only as good as what they are bringing to it. So you have to get that emotion and the passion and the vibrancy and the life. And when you create that, it will come. The viewer won't see it, and the viewer will feel it, and then they'll be happy and accepting of it.
Develop an eye. You got another call. We got some calls here. You want to take one?
Sure, absolutely.
Hello, caller. You're on.
I was wondering if what your guests thought about smartphones and their cameras.
Well,
obviously the most uploaded picture to Flickr is off of a iPhone 5.
Yeah, that does seem to be the wave of the future, at least right now. That sure is the trend.
There's some smartphones that have came out with one I just think came out with like a 41 megapixel camera on it.
Yeah, they are making them more and more acceptable, and everybody has one. And so the logical thing to do is just pick up and shoot with that. And I guess as long as you're taking any photo at all, that's good, and that you'll develop yourself as you're doing that. It's not my personal choice to use that, but it sure would be a way to immediately get your image also out in front of the social media and get reaction to it and develop your style that way as well. So it does have its purposes.
Is there any suggestions to using a camera like that versus film or a bigger DSLR camera? I
think the more you have to work, if you've got to work a little harder, you're probably going to create something a little more interesting. If it's so easy, then really just anybody, could do it. And then are you bringing your own passion to it? Are you, what are you doing that's different from everybody else? You're trying to, I think you got to work a little bit with lighting and composition and really study it instead of just sort of, shooting what you see and then instantly seeing it online, which is fine too, but you're not really developing your style, I don't think.
Everybody's a photographer now.
That's what it's getting to be, or pseudo-photographer, yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you,
welcome.
caller. Thank you.
Bye.
We have a number of people who are into serious photography versus those who are, everybody is using their camera now.
Yes.
Even my kids, I'll say, here's a few pictures, and they flick, click, 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 click. You get a whole bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
You could take them in seconds. You can take a bunch of them.
Yes.
It's amazing in development. So that everybody takes photography now and does photography, I'll say. Back to your gallery, you said you had some other artists. Who are some of the artists? Can you enumerate them?
Sure. Some of the artists that might be known in this area, we have Kirsten Engstrom, who does
the
those
big concrete things,
the big figures
you see them in Mayville on her yard.
They're in Mayville. They're all over Chautauqua. She's doing some smaller size figures for us, and she's expanding into doing some with color and pattern and some different things. They sell very well at the gallery. We have a ceramicist, Cynthia Fitzgerald, that's from this area. We have exhibiting artists. We're doing in the back of the gallery now. Occasionally on weekends, we'll have an exhibiting artist. We just had Sue Wolf, who is a portrait artist here in Westfield.
Right? Yeah.
We've had a wonderful paper cut artist from Pittsburgh called Catherine Carr, and the name of the cutting is we'll never say it right, but it's Sharon Schnitt or something of that nature.
Sharon Schnitzel.
Yeah, something similar to that. And she cuts by hand these intricate patterns and very whimsical. She did some Chautauqua scenes for us. She was very popular. We have a fellow in Southern Ohio that does wonderful post office or banks that are made from old post office box doors from 1898 to about 1908. He takes the old doors, the double dials or the single dial, and then he creates a bank around them using various exotic woods. And people are very enthralled with those. They're a little piece of history. Once those doors are gone, they're gone. And they make a wonderful gift that you could pass down through generations, and they're absolutely exquisitely done. So we like a lot of the green things where you're taking something old and finding a new way to show it and making it new again.
Rather than just trashing it.
Yes,
which would happen normally. I had a friend who did something rather unique that you would probably sell like firecrackers. He used to take straw and build a barn with it. The bigger pieces of straw would be the rafters, the beams, and he would meticulously do the tiles for the ceiling.
Oh my goodness.
We'd take a strand of it and just cut them, and the whole barn would be about this big. It would be a full second loft barn. It was incredible. When you look at something like that, it's mind-boggling. It blows your mind because you realize it must have taken forever to put this thing together.
It requires a lot of patience.
Yeah, using grass, basically. You just cut the straws up.
That's what's so interesting to see, all the different things, people that come through the door, the different artists wanting to be carried in the gallery and what they're bringing to the table and how different everything is. We had a fellow that came in a couple days ago that does tiny robots that were unbelievable, made up of all different things you'd find around your house, little, pieces of hardware for the eyes and maybe a comb for the mouth, but they were intricate and they were very sophisticated and professionally presented. And it's just something that, who would think of doing that? But
did you take one?
I'm very interested, yes. We're conferring.
Living on Long Island, which I had for many, many years, I had a big advantage in New York and Long Island of meeting other artists. And one of them, you were one of the few people who recognized de Kooning.
Oh, yes.
And de Kooning actually, and I traded pictures. I gave him a little framed piece of my work, and he gave me a little sketch, about a 12 by 14 sketch or something, which he did while I was standing there.
Wow.
It was just dumb fortune. I managed to catch him when his protective wife and daughter weren't there, and he just, oh, hi, come on in. He knew my cousin out there.
Oh, my gosh, that's wonderful.
And I had a wonderful chat with him for about an hour and a half. It was just terrific. And I'll tell you, he is one of the greats of all time in terms of abstract expressionism. And we have a note here, the fair, how to take pictures at the fair, animals rides. Somebody brought this question in. We have the Chautauqua County Fair is in operation now, of course. And how do you take pictures there? I mean, just same as anywhere else.
Well, that kind of would be a nice challenge. That would be kind of fun because you want to look for I call them the little vignettes. You want to look for the little hidden moments that you don't want to necessarily just shoot whatever the big roller coaster that everybody else is shooting or whatnot. You want to look for the little kid that is at the bottom of the roller coaster that just dropped his ice cream cone, that
the one that fell
being
off the
consoled.
top.
Yeah, well, hopefully
that was
happen.
A terrible accident, wasn't it?
Yes.
People fall off these things. I don't know how they do it. I guess they just climb out of the straps or something.
Trying to get a good picture, I guess.
Yeah, be careful.
But it's the vignettes. You want to capture the heartfelt, sentimental things that when someone else looks at it, it will recreate the whole aspect of what it was like to be at that fair without showing necessarily the traditional fair ride or something that anybody else would just shoot. Look for the unusual.
The rides would be
special.
Fascinating. And the animals. There's so many animals.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the fair's all about animals. And they have big cows and sheep. And you know that the most commonly milked animal in the world is not the cow, it's the sheep.
Did not know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of trivia out there people don't pay any attention to.
Yeah.
That's why it's called trivia. Okay, Gretchen Gaede, talking about pictures and paintings and stuff. You don't do animals.
I haven't, but again, that's a possibility going forward. Yeah. I particularly would like probably animals because of the patterns. You know, I probably would focus in more like I did with the turtles. I'd focus in on aspects of the fur and the surfaces and that sort of thing. That's kind of just the way I like to work, but
You're looking for patterns.
always looking for patterns, yes.
And
There's patterns in everything.
And your best advice to anybody getting into it is train the eye.
Train the eye.
It starts with the eye,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Your eyes
Yep.
got to see a composition, see something
Exactly.
good light, good whatever it is.
Yes, and then try to convey that to your viewer through have a lot of life in your image and convey the passion, convey why it was you took it in the first place without even having any words. They should be able to look at the image and understand what you were trying to do and why that it enthused you and have the same feeling, and then you'll be successful.
Yeah, as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. You don't need any words, right?
Absolutely, no. Mm-mm.
Are you going to the annual county senior summer picnic?
I was not aware of that, but perhaps
That's
you could fill me
fantastic.
in.
Well, they sent me a note. I'll just give it to you in the nitty-gritty here. August 9th at Midway Park. You know where Midway is?
I sure do.
Okay, Midway
Wonderful
Park.
place to photograph, by the way.
August 9th from 10 to 2. And they have the tickets are on sale at any senior center. And the tickets are peanuts. They're $6 for a complete huge dinner, among other things. I should tell you what you get a fabulous dinner from soup to nuts, watermelon, the whole smear, chicken, fried chicken, whatever you want. And everybody in the county goes there who's over the age of 40.
Wow.
August 9th, 10 to 2. Don't miss it, friends who are listening and watching.
Bring your cameras.
And bring your camera. You know, just a plate of chicken could be a really nice picture.
It actually could.
On a camera,
that's not so outrageous. Yes.
Right. You get all you can eat, I understand. Oh, I went over there a couple of years ago. I was so full I couldn't walk. Isn't it wonderful the state took over that Midway Park?
It's a wonderful old park.
Rather than having it turn into condos, it's now
Absolutely.
a park which still has original rides.
Yes.
Some of them. And my kids love to go over there all the time, or I should say my grandchildren do with my kids. Mm-hmm. And they pick up an annual ticket, which is pretty reasonable, very inexpensive. Mm-hmm. And they go over all the time and ride that little train around. They love the train and the bumper cars.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm down to the last minute here because I just received this notice in my earpiece. We're out of here.
Oh.
We're out of here. It's bye-bye. So I want to give you 30 seconds just to close off, okay?
Okay.
Your time.
Just would like to invite everybody to come to Gretchen's Gallery in Chautauqua in the Colonnade Building, the historic Colonnade Building. Come on Sunday or come anytime that you might be coming through, even it could be in the fall. We have a beautiful fall scenery there. And we'd love to see you and have you see the other artists that are there as well and experience the gallery that we've created there, and look forward to working with any photographers that are out there that have any questions, any designers as to how they might enter this field or just talk about what interests you. Yeah.
Gretchen Gaede, thank you. Are you going to come back sometime soon?
Absolutely, we'd love to.
Terrific. I want to thank the special people out there who are doing the background work. Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, and Dan Zenz, and especially, last but not least, John Hamels. Get out there and take your camera with you this time, guys. Take some shots, but first of all, remember, train your eye so that you don't just take dumb pictures. You take really well-composed, interesting pictures of beautiful objects. And don't forget, you can still use your little telephone. It works too. Thanks a lot, Gretchen.
You're welcome.
We're gonna move along now, and I want to thank everybody who's sorry, last caller we didn't get to you, but I want to thank everybody out there who watches and listens and calls in. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers. And there's the shot.
Oh, good ending.